One photo, one missing face, and a wave of silence across every account that used to scream family first. That's how it started, not with a dramatic announcement, not with a crying Instagram live or a reality show confessional, but with absence, quiet creeping absence. Aniko and Aspen didn't storm offset, they slipped out the side door and let the silence speak louder than any scene they were ever in. Welcome back. I'm Sarah, and this is Sister Wives Daily, where we follow the family drama, the show edits, and the stuff that slips through between the episodes. If you're into rare receipts, silent exits, and the kind of gossip that's about behavior, not name-calling, hit up the comments and tell me. Did you notice when Aniko and Aspen quietly disappeared? Or did it hit you all at once in that one weird post where Darcey tried to pretend everything was still perfect? Alright, let's get into it. For years, the daughters were always there. Maybe not center stage every moment, but part of the picture. Vacations, birthday parties, those awkward little cameos where they'd smile politely while Darcey made everything about her latest fiancé. They were backgrounds in her life, but they were constant. And then suddenly, they weren't. Search through Darcey's posts from the past 6 months. The photos get older, the captions get vaguer, the comments get more suspicious. Throwbacks from years ago start resurfacing, labeled like they're fresh. But check the timestamps. You'll spot it immediately, something's off. The footage may be filtered, but the fracture is real. And here's what hit the fandom hardest. The girls aren't fading from social media. They're erasing themselves from it selectively, precisely, deliberately. And Nico changed her handle. Aspen locked hers. Posts archived. Stories deleted. Mutual tags removed. No drama, no yelling matches. But for anyone who's tracked the family, the silence is screaming. What makes it hard to ignore is how the timing lines up, uncomfortably well, with that anxious moment every college-bound teen dreads. Scholarship interviews, campus visits, prestigious programs scanning every corner of the internet, every headline attached to your last name. And when your mother's name is Darcey Silva, the Google results don't exactly scream, honor roll family legacy. Why did the photos stop the second the future started? Multiple sources, some inside the college prep grind, others floating around TLC's off-camera crew, have hinted at a lot of pressure behind the scenes. Allegedly, there was even a disagreement about whether certain filming should happen near campus at all. Imagine walking into a scholarship board meeting while your mom rolls up in head-to-toe designer gear and pitches a spin-off titled Twin Life University Edition. Some insiders quietly believe that the scholarship moment was the tipping point, not just because of the applications, but because that's when the daughters realized what staying in the public eye might cost. Reputation becomes currency in higher education, and they knew their accounts were already overdrawn. Here's the kicker, they didn't release a statement. That would have kept them in the show. They vanished instead. And then out of nowhere, he appeared. Frank Bollok, the ex-husband, the father, the ghost in the family narrative. For years, he was nothing more than an occasional name. Sidelined, silent, a background character in Darcey's origin story. So what's he doing now, in the background of satellite maps and deleted stories? Quiet weekend drop-offs in New York. Photos posted and erased in seconds. A reflection in a window, just enough for fans to start putting pieces together. It's no longer a theory, the fans know what's up. The girls are moving pieces on their own board, avoiding direct conflict, avoiding instadramatics, but slowly, methodically, removing themselves from the twin life universe. They're not quitting the family, they're quitting the character roles they were never meant to play. Darcey, meanwhile, is trying to play catch-up with lip filler and memories. If you scroll through her feed right now, it's full of long-winded captions about family unity. But the photos are suspiciously old. She's presenting unity but posting nostalgia. It's a performance built on outdated footage, and fans have started noticing. Questions flood the comments. Where's Aniko? Why hasn't Aspen posted in 3 months? Why did she skip that last red carpet event? Why is Darcey reposting prom photos from 2 years ago like they happened last week? And here's where you should lean in, because this next part is what cracked the illusion wide open. That single missing photo. At a recent Twin Life launch party, Darcey posted a carousel. New hair, new Facetune. Same old captions about girlbossing with her daughters, but the slideshow was off. You'd expect trio photos. Instead, Darcey posing alone, or with paid guests and assistants. And in the one group shot that looked like it was supposed to feature the family, there's space. Physical, awkward space beside her. Cropped wrong, or maybe cropped right. Fans zoomed in, commented, DMs started flying. Then the post vanished. Darcey deleted it, but not before Reddit saved it. So now the fandom knows something happened, maybe something personal, maybe something contractual, but Aniko and Aspen aren't just stepping back, they're stepping away. Stay with me now because we're not even halfway down the rabbit hole. What comes next isn't speculation, it's movement, the timing, the tick-tocks, the logistics of relocating under the shadow of someone who still controls the narrative. The scholarship scandal isn't the real story, it's the smoke around a decision that might have already been made. Are the girls still in Connecticut? Is Frank pulling legal levers already? Or is this the kind of slow burn exit that ends with a courtroom and an NDA? This silence isn't random, it's coordinated. And it didn't start with a fight, it started with a realization. And Sarah, on Sister Wives Daily, we're following it frame by frame. Hold tight. Because next, we're going right into the curated chaos of Darcey's Instagram illusion, and how her quest to be young forever may be the one thing that aged her family out of her life. You're going to want to see what's underneath all those filters. If you only looked at Darcey's Instagram, you'd think she was doing fine. Flawless makeup, designer bags, phrases like girl power and twin life forever looping on every post. The perfect mom, the perfect brand, the perfect body, one filter at a time. But out here, in daylight, the script breaks. Parents don't need to be perfect, they need to be present. That's a baseline Darcey seems to have forgotten, or maybe traded, for a three-ring circus of cosmetic transformation, co-branded selfies, and chaotic love stories that were always louder than the needs inside her own home. And right now, the curtain's peeling back in real time. Behind the staged glam shots and Eiffel Tower backdrops, there's an entirely different scene playing out. One where her daughters barely make eye contact. One where followers aren't seeing new adventures but recycled memories. One where fans start to whisper, is anyone actually living in this house? Or are we just watching someone archive their image, post by post, while the people closest to her slip out the door? This isn't a storyline, it's an identity crisis with a ring light. Over the years, Darcey's obsession with youth hasn't just been visible, it's been loud. Surgeries documented, procedures teased. Edits layered so thick you forget what her face looked like 2 seasons ago. And in a vacuum? Sure, let her live. But parenting doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in car rides, at dinner tables, in school meetings, and more importantly, it happens off-screen. That's where things stopped matching up. TikTok started looking less like family fun and more like PR band-aids. Captions screaming, proud mom energy, while the actual daughters looked disconnected. The excitement wasn't there. The laughs felt delayed, body language stiff, forced. A mother dancing like she was one of the teens, while the teens froze, pressed smiles, eyes flickering off to the side, like they were calculating how much longer they had to fake it before TikTok edited it all away. Here's the question, were they ever really in the clip, or were they just background props to sell a brand story? Insiders, some allegedly close to production crews, have pointed out a sharp turn behind the scenes right around college application season. That's when the stakes changed. When followers stopped being fans and started being admissions officers. When a family name became a liability. Several reports suggest that around this time, Darcey reportedly pushed harder than ever to keep her daughters in frame. Matching outfits, collab reels, mommy and me makeup sessions that no longer felt casual, they felt staged. Imagine this, you're trying to draft an essay about leadership, about resilience, about independence. And your phone buzzes with a notification that your mom in a sheer bodysuit is trending under a headline about thirst trap parenting. That disconnect, it's deeper than shame, it's emotional displacement. It's being the child in a house where the adult's validation is outsourced to strangers online. And here's the truth bomb that stings, followers can't raise your kids for you. For Darcey, the brand always came first. That's not opinion, that's the pattern. And it wouldn't be such a problem if the brand wasn't so emotionally expensive. Because no matter how much lip gloss you layer on family life, the people inside it will always feel what's missing. In public, Darcey says, these girls are my whole world. But in private, they're reportedly scheduling their lives around her content calendar, navigating school deadlines, while she books appointment after appointment to rebrand herself as Forever 25. And when their priorities didn't align, she didn't pivot, she posted more. Louder, sharper, younger outfits, bigger edits, newer lashes. There's a difference between being a cool mom and being a competitor for attention. The psychology behind that is brutal. Experts refer to this emotional pressure as parental role inversion, when kids start managing the adult's ego to avoid tension. And fans can literally see it happening, frame by frame, as the daughters begin reacting to Darcey less like a nurturer and more like a liability. They're not rolling their eyes because she's embarrassing. They're rolling their eyes because they're exhausted. At what point does the personal brand stop being personal and start being parasitic? That's the haunting part here. Because Darcey didn't just build a brand, she built it on top of them. And without their buy-in now that they're older, it's starting to collapse. Notice how the twin life promos now rely on childhood footage, flashbacks, middle school moments, teenage smiles before agency set in. That's what's holding up the image. Memories too old to protest. The fans are noticing. Reddit threads are calling her out for digital gaslighting, pretending the daughters are still involved when in reality, they're probably just keeping things civil until they can secure their degree, their distance, and their own digital space. And yet, the pause button hasn't been pressed at all on Darcey's side. The surgery trail is accelerating, so are the filters, the staged content, the forced bonding. Twin life wants to seem fuller than ever, while behind the scenes, the foundation may be crumbling into designer dust. That's what emotional whiplash looks like in slow motion. And the scary part, she might not even see it happening, because she's too busy scrolling the comments, watching the likes, counting the shares. And if fame is your mirror, you stop noticing who's in the room behind you, quietly packing their bags. We're not done yet. Stick around, because next we're breaking down Frank's silent rise, not in the tabloids, not on Insta, but in real life. And you'll want to know why some people are calling it the smartest long game in reality TV parenting history. Because when silence beats spectacle, it's time to start asking, who's really the strong one? While Darcey built a brand, Frank built a case. He didn't fight her publicly. He didn't chase interviews or scream into a ring light. He watched, and quietly he waited. That silence wasn't passivity, it was strategy. The daughters are disappearing from Darcey's feed, but elsewhere, whispers are growing. Whispers that Frank never really left. He was just choosing his moment. And now, it looks like he's stepping in with purpose. One goal, structure and silence for his daughters, far away from the artificial noise of TV moms and twin branding. There's a reason people are calling this the smartest long game in reality TV history. No contracts. No spin-offs. Frank Bollok isn't marketing himself as the hero, he's acting like one. While Darcey was chasing engagement, Frank was becoming undeniable. What's unfolding now doesn't feel like a surprise. It feels like a trap that was set years ago, triggered at the exact right moment. And here's where the tilt really begins. Frank might not be playing by TV rules. He might be playing by court rules. Sources close to the family's legal circle have mentioned a term you rarely hear in gossip circles: constructive abandonment. It's not about walking out the door. It's about leaving the emotional and practical role of being a parent behind while still claiming the title. In some cases, it's used by fathers against absentee mothers. But here, it's flipped. It could be Frank's ticket in and Darcey's empire dragged out in front of a custody judge. Because what happens when your parenting decisions are live-streamed and archived for your legal opposition to review? Everything. Every slurred cameo, every inappropriate post, every moment she went viral for the wrong reasons. It's all time-stamped, geotagged, and pulled down into family court-level conversations. And Darcey didn't just make mistakes, she broadcast them. Allegedly, Frank's team has been chronicling every moment. Not to shame, not to shock. To file, you don't have to accuse someone of instability when their online history is doing the job for you. And now, viewers are noticing footage that wasn't meant to tell the story it's telling. Background clips from TikToks where the girls look exhausted. Screen grabs of them looking away as Darcey dances offbeat in low-cut tops aimed for Gen Z. The psychology in those seconds. Painfully obvious. They're shrinking next to her spotlight. And if silence is strategy, Frank has already checkmated the show. He didn't argue with TLC. He didn't ask for on-screen time. He backed away. And now, there's talk, underground but steady, that he's ready to step in not just as a father, but as a removal. A behind-the-scenes force cutting the girls off from production completely. You think TLC didn't see this coming? They did. But they didn't think it would escalate. Think about it. If Frank files paperwork limiting the girls from appearing on screen, on the basis that the environment is unstable, manipulative, or emotionally coercive, the crew loses half of what made the family look functional. Because love lives crashing, that's watchable. But two daughters actively rejecting the storyline, that doesn't sell. This isn't just a father showing up. This is a man allegedly positioned to collapse half a storyline with one legal signature. Frank's not just disrupting a career, he's targeting the foundation it stands on. So ask yourself, is this still a story about family, or about production rights to one. With every quiet step Frank takes, viewers are left wondering, has the move already happened? Look at the social clues. Are Aniko's weekend trips actually relocation soft launches? Why did Aspen's tagged locations suddenly shift in between semesters? Why were there real estate listings, browsing quietly for properties in a quiet Connecticut to New York corridor? Do you notice how Darcey keeps showing the same room in every photo? Same background, same lighting, like she's afraid of revealing who's still physically in the house. What we're watching isn't just a custody case, it's an emotional audit. Who's been present? Who's been the adult? Who's offering love without conditions and without Instagram filters? What makes this all so powerful, so different from the staged chaos we're used to, is that Frank isn't forcing a narrative. He's removing one. Instead of showing up to film, he's pulling the plug. And according to a few quiet legal voices in New York law circles, he might have enough behavioral receipts to make it stick. Let's talk timing. Multiple insiders have floated that constructive abandonment filings, if drafted, are often coordinated with age-based milestones. Once teens hit 16 or older in most custody circuits, their preferences start to carry serious weight. So, if Aniko and Aspen say they want peace, stability, and educational protection, courts could rule in their favor fast. Especially if the request isn't about punishing Darcey, it's about exiting the circus. The genius of Frank's move is subtle, it doesn't need to be angry. If it's rooted in concern, not conflict, it gets traction with viewers and judges. It's not a smear campaign. It's a rescue plan painted in quiet tones. And now, the quiet man who once got written off as a footnote. He may be the only person left holding the blueprint to protect what Darcey called her everything. Because if Frank succeeds in separating the girls from the show, from Connecticut, from the twin life dream, he wins something more rare than reality TV redemption. He gets validation, he gets silence, he gets his daughters back, and the headlines won't scream about it, they'll whisper, just the way Frank planned it. Hold tight, because Act 4 is where we trace exactly where the public dream started to sting the private future. The scholarship fallout, the academic cracks, the reputational avalanche that may have forced the daughters to finally say, enough. If you think fame only costs followers, you've never seen what it does to family. You can't Google Aniko Silva without stumbling across clips that have nothing to do with her. That's the problem. Instead of college essays and campus awards, you'll see headlines about skincare routines, botched proposals, and matching waist trainers. Her last name isn't just a name anymore, it's a plotline. And that's where the damage begins. Aniko worked hard. You could see it in early seasons, when her eye rolls were camouflaged beneath polite smiles. She navigated the chaos, smiled through the makeovers, supported a mom who insisted on being half influencer, half fairy tale, but behind the scenes, books, AP classes, college prep, quiet ambition. She was building something real, in the shadows of something that never was, until the letter didn't come. Sources around the college circle started murmuring months ago. A rejection here, a peculiar waitlist there. Nothing official, nothing that screams scandal, but enough to question whether the Silva last name had stopped opening doors and started shutting them instead. And when college coaches flag image risk as a concern, it's no longer personal. It's systemic. Let's talk recommendations. Admissions teams don't just check transcripts, they check digital presence. Photos, headlines, trending hashtags. They look at family reports, they look at interviews. And while Aniko was studying, her mom was trending under phrases like crying on camera and is that dress even legal? It's not fair, but it's real. Private colleges care about their brand. And students attached to controversy, even indirectly, become unpredictable endorsements. Imagine this, two applicants, identical resumes. One is a girl with no fame baggage. The other is attached to a public figure who sells detox teas while feuding with exes on national TV. Who do you think gets the final interview? This is where career choices start creating collateral damage. For Aniko, the fallout wasn't fireworks. It was a slow slide. Sources allege there was tension right after the Miami trip, Darcey's now infamous fashion stunt. But while social media focused on photos, the daughters stayed silent. No likes, no shares, just space. We're not saying Miami caused the rejections, but it did pull a thread that was already fraying. Aniko had been curating her own image carefully, as any smart kid does. Balanced, intelligent, polished. But when your parent goes viral in all the wrong ways, your efforts don't matter. People don't see you anymore. They see a brand, a shadow, a walking PR gamble. And the moment you become a meme, you lose control of the room you just walked into. There's nothing quite like the shame of feeling like your parent turned into internet content without asking if you were okay showing up next to them. And college is already brutal. Recommendation deadlines, competition, scholarships with less than 5% acceptance. So when a school quietly opts out, citing concerns that student exposure may be elevated, you know what that means. They Googled, they winced, they passed. Do we know the exact school that did this? No, we won't speculate. But here's where things get heavier. Somewhere in those final few months before college decisions dropped, Aniko posted a now-deleted story. It was cryptic. A parking lot, a closed laptop. Text on the screen said, "You can work your hardest and still get screwed." No tags, no location, gone in hours, but fans screenshot everything. There wasn't a meltdown, no explosive fights, no family rants. There was just burnout. A girl quietly realizing that you can be your own person and still be punished for someone else's chaos. And when hard work doesn't earn escape, it earns a lesson. One she likely never wanted to learn at 18. Here's the emotional weight to understand. It's not about clothing, or body image, or TV edits, it's about boundaries. Whether a child is allowed to evolve without a parent resizing her identity to fit into an old show format. Darcey didn't make it easier. While Aniko recoiled, Darcey doubled down. More filters, more TikToks. Another vague caption about my pride and joy, alongside an old photo, one that Aniko hadn't even liked. That disconnect, that's what breaks a bond. Quietly, emotionally, forever, this wasn't a single event. It was stacked micro-rejections, missed callbacks, exclusion from clubs, whispers that don't make headlines but leave marks. And in every one of those moments, the root problem wasn't Aniko's personality, it was her proximity. To someone who stopped parenting and started performing. Could any career be worth your child's peace? Could any fame be worth their rejection? You can cry about not being appreciated by strangers, or you can be present for the two people who used to call you mom. Because if Aniko had to pick between making her mother proud and finally escaping the show she never signed up for, she made the quiet choice. And Aspen's not far behind. But this is just the pressure cooker phase. What happens next? Is confrontation. Because what do you do when privacy still doesn't protect you, and even silence gets twisted for views? Next up, we enter Miami. The outfit heard, round campuses. The exposure that made news across age groups. And the backlash that allegedly ended every last benefit of the doubt in that fractured household. Stick around, because after that night, the lines weren't blurry anymore. They were burning. It was supposed to be another brand weekend. Flashes of palm trees, club invites, influencers on balconies pretending their lives are effortless. But by the end of that night in Miami, something shifted in the Silva timeline, and this time, no filter could fix it. On Instagram, it looked like Darcey's usual content. Champagne bottles, poolside glam, a designer outfit that barely held onto the boundaries of clothing. The kind of post she's built her brand on, but something about this one felt more desperate, less curated, more defiant. She wasn't celebrating, she was performing, and everyone watching could feel it. The outfit wasn't the issue. This wasn't about fashion. This was about timing, context, and what it symbolized. Because when you've got two college-age daughters building their reputations in a world obsessed with screenshots, your image isn't just yours anymore. It's public currency tied to their identity too. And fans immediately noticed. Aniko and Aspen were nowhere near Miami that night. Instead, they were silent. No reaction, no comments, no reposts, just digital distance. That told the real story. We don't need to describe the outfit in detail. It's been picked apart enough. But for context, it was sheer, barely their fabric, intentionally provocative. Miami's club kids barely noticed. But the internet did. Screenshots flooded Reddit. Zoomed-in critiques dominated gossip threads. And somewhere between the sarcasm and disgust was a quieter thread from people saying, her daughters are going to see this. And that, right there, is why this moment mattered. Because it wasn't about a woman's wardrobe. It was about a mother ignoring that her decisions no longer lived in a vacuum, and the spotlight was no longer hers alone. Imagine being 21, starting your first year at a competitive university. You're walking into a lecture hall. You open your phone before class and find your friends sharing a meme of your mom posing in sheer mesh, her name trending under threads tagged, "Hot Mess in Miami." You want to focus on your exam. But instead you feel hunted. Because now, every stranger with Wi-Fi thinks they know your home life, your values, your worth. You didn't post anything, but they've already judged you because someone else did. That kind of secondhand shame. It's buried deep, invisible, and impossible to fight. Shame is silent, especially when it gets mistaken for empowerment. Darcey, in her mind, saw this moment differently. She was reclaiming youth, maybe, fueling her confidence. Living out loud, wearing what she wanted, that's her narrative. But respect and relevance pull from two different sources, and the line between empowered and exposed isn't decided by hashtags. It's decided by the people who silently shoulder the consequences while you post the photos. And reportedly, that's exactly what happened behind the scenes. According to close circles, anonymous but consistent, there was backlash in the household. Not fights, not explosions, a cold snap, silence, doors closing, a message sent with absence. Reportedly, this incident led to a confrontation, maybe not dramatic, maybe not filmed, but undeniably significant. One daughter allegedly said, "I can't defend this anymore." No follow-up story, no resolution post. Darcey never addressed it head-on, but her attempts to smooth it over came fast. A flurry of emotional edits with captions like, "My girls, my life." Old family weekend clips reshared with suspicious timing, but the engagement was shallow. Aniko and Aspen weren't liking, commenting, or even sharing. Because when the respect is gone, the algorithm can't bring it back. This might have been the moment they emotionally signed off. Not loudly, but permanently, and things got eerier. Within weeks, verified profiles close to production went completely offline, accounts locked, fan pages slowed down, even some minor public figures from Darcey's orbit pulled down old photos. It was as if the damage wasn't limited to one bad outfit, but to the whole image it exposed. And still, Darcey kept posting. It's hard to say whether she saw the fallout as minor or refused to believe it mattered. But that's the danger when validation becomes your priority over personhood. Every click becomes more valuable than a conversation you're too embarrassed to have. But there's a cost to that. And this time, the line she crossed wasn't about modesty. It was about trust. Parents are allowed to live their truth, but kids are allowed to leave when that truth crashes into their dignity. This wasn't a case of daughters policing style. It was daughters watching their future get laughed at online by people who will never know their hard work, their anxiety, or their attempt to separate who they are from who raised them. That's real trauma. Not the kind that screams in confrontational edits, but the soft kind that starts with a look across the room and ends with a locked bedroom door. And once that parental authority breaks, it doesn't come back because you buy another necklace or say, "I love you" on TV. It comes back only if you stop treating your daughters like accessories in a lifestyle reel and start treating them like people you're accountable to. So was this Miami moment the last straw? Maybe. Or maybe it was just the first one that snapped publicly, because what happened next didn't happen online. No posts, no stories, just subtle shifts in where the girls were seen, who they were with, and whether or not Frank was behind it all, quietly coordinating the next chapter. We're heading there next. Because what happens when two daughters stop asking for change and start planning their next move? The exit strategy isn't a theory anymore. It's happening. Quietly and fast. Stick around. The cover stories are slipping. And what's underneath might explain everything. When you don't know how to reconnect with someone emotionally, the credit card starts doing the talking. And in Darcey's case, it's been talking loud. Followers started noticing a strange rhythm earlier this year. Tension rises, silence follows, and suddenly, a luxury gift appears. Not subtle gifts either. We're talking Cartier love bracelets, Louis Vuitton tote bags, designer sneakers that drop conveniently around the same time the girls start pulling away. To some, this looks like generosity. To others, a calculated response to crumbling relationships. Because when connection breaks, there are two choices: repair it slowly, or distract everyone with a shiny box. Darcey didn't pick repair, she picked retail. There's a reason fans are calling it the Cartier method, and it isn't flattering. Luxury gifting isn't new in parenting, but when it starts following conflict like clockwork, people notice. This isn't "thank you for being great." It's "please forget what just happened." A high-gloss band-aid on an emotional fracture. A bracelet that says, "I still own access to your silence." Some people gift out of love. Some people gift out of guilt. But when the receipts start surfacing with eerie timing, right after a family fight, or right after that Miami incident, intent starts sounding less like care and more like control. Think about it. You've just had a hard conversation with your mom. Maybe you finally told her that all the surgeries, the stunts, the weird TikToks, it's too much, you're embarrassed. You want a little distance, maybe even therapy-level boundaries. Instead of listening, she shows up with a Balenciaga hoodie and acts surprised when you still look tired. Because money buys things, but it doesn't fix motherhood. Bold retention line time, and again, we've seen it. These designer drop-offs posted with soft captions like spoiling my babies or mommy's treat. But no smiles from Aniko or Aspen. No tags, no gratitude stories. Just stoic acceptance, as if they know exactly what the gift means, not a celebration, a bribe, an attempt to replace presents with price. One TikTok in particular drew quiet backlash. Aniko unboxed a Cartier bracelet with a lukewarm "Thanks, Mom." The tone was hollow. There was no humor, no sparkle. Comments immediately picked up on it. One viewer wrote, "She looks like she's accepting a debt, not a gift." Another replied, "Luxury doesn't heal humiliation." The video was deleted in hours. And that's what makes this chapter so uncomfortable. Because the Cartier method didn't win anyone back, it revealed just how far things had slipped. At some point, the daughters stopped treating Darcey's gifts like affection. They started treating them like PR deals, small payments for playing along, for keeping outward peace while inner resentment grew. Sources close to the situation have hinted at something even colder, that the gifts weren't random, that there were patterns, offers traded for silence, supposed spa days designed to force content, new bags on camera only. Whether or not that's entirely true, the optics support it, because the affection isn't warm anymore, it's staged. And whether you're inside or outside the drama, that awkward chill is hard to miss. It's emotional capitalism. The idea that love can be re-earned with price tags, that if something is sparkly enough, it'll muzzle disappointment. But here's the catch: the higher the price, the louder the message. "I don't know how else to reach you." Some fans still sympathize. They see a mother in panic. They argue Darcey isn't manipulative, she's desperate. That maybe, just maybe, she's still trying to show love the only way she knows how. But here's the real heartbreak. What if the gifts aren't to make the girls feel special? What if they're to make her feel needed? If you've built your identity around being a provider, when your daughters start walking away emotionally, then designer guilt becomes your last lifeline. And that's what hurts the most about all this. The Cartier, the Louis, the curated surprises. Because they don't scream love, they whisper fear. Fear of losing access. Fear that respect is slipping. Fear that without these girls in her life, Darcey doesn't know who she is anymore. But here's where it starts to flip. Recently, some fans began cataloging the quiet disappearances of those very gifts. A tote bag once shown off in a story, gone. A necklace that never reappeared at an event. Whispered allegations of gifted items being left behind on purpose. A quiet statement, "This doesn't buy me anymore." And the twins' silence has been brutal. Photos where they would normally appear empty. Events where they might show up, no attendance. And most telling, no family posts thanking her for spoiling them. No public displays of the affection Darcey keeps claiming exists behind the scenes. Because here's the truth. Nothing is lonelier than giving gifts that no one wants to wear. These weren't celebrations. They were compensations. Symbols of a mother trying to pay off discomfort instead of apologizing for the behavior that caused it. And that's what makes the cost even higher than the receipts show. You can buy shoes, you can buy silence, but you can't buy real forgiveness. Bold retention line the Cartier method, it didn't pull them closer. It gave them an outlet to emotionally check out while still appearing cooperative. Play along for one more video, one more brunch, one more mother-daughter post, then ghost again. One more step toward the exit. And once the pattern repeats enough, everyone watching starts to feel it. This wasn't parenting. This was a payout. Coming up next, we trace those golden breadcrumbs all the way back to their missing pieces. Scarves gone, walls bare, daughters slowly, stealthily detaching. The secret move. The escape the show still hasn't acknowledged. But the fans, they've noticed everything. You'll want to see how this luxury exit pipeline ends, and what waits for them on the other side. Not everything breaks with a bang. Some exits are planned in whispers, in side glances, in backpacks that get lighter by the week. And if you've been watching carefully, you already know Aniko and Aspen aren't staging a protest. They're staging an escape. It started with a wall. Followers noticed it first. A familiar bedroom in a TikTok, clean, curated but strangely empty. Shelves that used to be chaotic with makeup, trophies, framed photos, whatever, now bare. Where there were once lights and books and high school clutter, now just space. The kind of space you don't clean, the kind you clear. And then, a suitcase. Posted to Aniko's story, just a quick mirror pic. White heart emoji in the corner. But not a trendy carry-on. A flat-out moving crate. Fans matched the room's background to an apartment complex in New York. The skyline, a perfect match for a location 3 blocks from a property connected, allegedly, to Frank Bollok's quiet little real estate circle. No captions, no announcements, just hints and movement, always movement. What came next? Silence. The girls' socials slowed down, or rather scrubbed down, unfollowed accounts, archived posts, even likes disappeared. No mentions of twin life, no tagging. Aspen locked her account completely. Aniko flickered between updates, still visible, but pulling away like someone slowly ghosting a life they never agreed to continue performing in. And the timing wasn't random. Right after the Miami fallout. Right after the failed gifting wave that didn't fix what was breaking. Right after that last episode aired, where both daughters looked like background actors trapped in their own story. So who's helping them move? Smart money's on Frank. It's the way he moves. Silent, steady, zero drama. He didn't try to win Father of the Year in public. But all this, the timing, the rumored legal murmurs, the emotional shift, it matches a plan that didn't start last month. It started the moment he realized being off camera gave him more power than showing up. Because power isn't in footage, it's in control. And right now, he seems to have control of the narrative the girls aren't ready to say out loud. There's tea floating around fan forums that Frank has been funding this covert relocation for months. Not legally taking custody, yet, but building the conditions for full autonomy. Helping quietly, in the background, without putting the girls in more spotlight than they've already lived through. One post even mentioned a screenshot of Elise, but that was quickly pulled, and we won't speculate. What we can say is this. There's a coordinated effort happening here that smells way too organized to be impulse. You don't ghost a high-profile household without help. You plan, you prep, you pack one piece at a time. The exit doesn't start at the front door. It starts in the captions. Meanwhile, Darcey's Instagram, it's frozen in time. All recent posts have one thing in common, they're not recent. Prom photos from 2 years ago, birthday clips dug from the archives. All dressed up in present tense captions, as if hoping no one notices that the smiles are outdated, the girls are younger, and the background decor no longer matches the current set. It doesn't take a behavioral expert to catch the pattern. This isn't celebration, this is denial in public packaging. She's not documenting family, she's preserving fragments. Like she's afraid the algorithm will move on once they do, and maybe it already has. Twin life clips aren't trending. Engagement on daughter-focused content is limited. Fans aren't falling for the illusion anymore, they're tracking all the pieces missing. And here's where the plot starts to twist in dangerous territory for TLC, because say this all plays out. Say Aniko and Aspen are living under a different roof, no longer under Darcey's supervision. What happens when scenes are produced using outdated shots or looped appearances to make it look like they're still around? What happens when the show relies on ghosts to keep the image of unity alive? If Frank's play includes forcing removal from filming, as some insiders do allege, and TLC keeps reaching into old footage to stretch the story, that's not family drama, that's narrative manipulation, and it's the kind that fans will notice and turn on. Fast, bold retention line. If TLC tries to spin ghosts into screen time, the backlash won't come quietly. It'll come in comment sections, relentless ones. The more important question, does Darcey know? Is she clinging to this show because she really believes the girls are still in it emotionally? Or is she holding onto a brand she knows is vanishing, hoping denial delays the collapse? Every makeup tutorial filmed alone, every tag left unanswered, every family night caption without a family photo attached, it's obvious. Something broke, and she's pretending it didn't. It's eerie. Like watching someone hold onto a party balloon long after it's raw and half deflated. For fans who have followed since season 1, it feels like watching the lights flicker and the set slowly empty. The furniture's still there, sure, but the stars, they're already walking off stage. The show may still be airing episodes, but that household has already entered reruns, and the girls know this. Aniko's silence is louder than anything Darcey's posted in months. Aspen's digital vanishing act isn't apathy, it's a statement. These aren't pauses, these are exits. And the blank shelf, the white heart emoji, the packed bag. All part of the same sentence they've been writing, we're leaving. The question isn't, are they gone? It's this, are they coming back, or has the real show already ended and no one had the courage to say, cut, next? We head into the echo that follows all this. A house without daughters. A franchise edging on fabricated edits. And a woman staring into her camera lens, waiting for likes that used to come from the two people who mattered most. The cameras kept rolling, but the family didn't. And now, we watch as the silence swallows what's left. The lights are still on in the Connecticut house. The ring light flickers, the backdrop is the same. The lashes are longer, the hair extensions blonder, and the lips even fuller. But something's missing, something the filters can't cover. And this time, no amount of saturation or sparkle can hide it. The girls are gone. Not gone in the dramatic, door-slamming way reality shows love to sell. Not even gone in words. Just quietly not there. The camera pans, and there's no breakfast chatter. No books spread across the kitchen table. No coffee runs with matching tracksuits. Just Darcey. In a massive house that feels louder with every echo of her heels down an empty hallway, her captions haven't changed. They're still full of my world. Blessed mama. Girls are everything. But where are they? Not in frame, not in stories, not even in the comments. And silence isn't just absence anymore, it's character development. Fans started picking up the pattern weeks ago. The editing slower. The pace off. Darcey speaks to the camera like someone whose energy is running on delay, still performing, still beautiful, but almost trying too hard to sound like herself. And what we're seeing now isn't twin life. It's a lone life dressed up for TV. Because when your show is built on family chaos, but the chaos quietly packs its bags and disappears, you're not left with storylines. You're left with a spotlight pointing at nothing. And that's when you realize the empire was built on mirrors. And the mirrors are all gone. Darcey's empire, love, luxury, longevity, looks shinier than ever on the outside. But it's cracking under something deeper than ratings. It's cracking under real loneliness, real silence, and the worst possible plot twist for someone raised on attention. Being cut out of your own daughter's lives without them even saying it to your face. Because the exit wasn't loud, it was surgical, and speaking of, Darcey's surgeries haven't slowed. In fact, according to observant fans and timeline clues, they've ramped up. More filters, more freeze frames, more layer upon layer of transformation. Not aging backward, just disappearing forward. Like she's trying to erase heartbreak through injections. Carve a new shell and pretend the inside isn't collapsing. Bold retention line. When the heart breaks, the face shouldn't have to follow, but Darcey doesn't know how to separate the two. And there's an eerie sadness in it now. Photos that used to be tags from her daughters are now brand deals. The spontaneity is gone. The smiles don't bounce off Aniko's laugh or Aspen's eye rolls. They bounce off camera lenses and into promotional hashtags. She's still looking glamorous, still sponsored, still spinning the brand wheel, but the girls have left the game. The energy feels off, and fans know the difference. Viewers are catching on to the emotional fatigue. It's not just that the family dynamic is broken, it's the psychological weight of watching someone pretend it isn't. TLC hasn't addressed it formally, and they probably won't. But insiders say fewer scenes are shot in that house now. The show's started shifting elsewhere. Filler content, side plots, because when the core cast leaves emotionally, producers scramble to replace gravity with glitter. What does twin life even mean without the twins? We're watching something unravel, not in chaos, but in slow retreat. And the scariest part, Darcey still thinks she's holding it together. Still scrolling, still posting, still editing. But the house is empty, the show feels quiet. And Mom is a title you can't perform for long without a real connection behind the script. The void makes more noise now than any scene from season 1. Imagine walking down your hallway and every photo is out of date. Every shot has someone smiling who no longer speaks. Every memory frozen at the moment before things cracked wide open. Darcey hasn't commented publicly. No statements, no admissions of loss, that's not her way. She swerves, she posts, she reinvents. But the cracks are visible. When your daughters leave, there's no edit that can reverse it. No product tie-in worth enough to fix it. And this is the part fans weren't prepared for. Not the drama, the silence. Silence in a household built for televised noise. Silence in a feed engineered for oversharing. Silence in a storyline that can't be manufactured anymore, because the people who gave it heart have all quietly said no with their absence. And yet, the cameras still roll. But what are they filming now? Who's left? What's left? A woman redoing her face to escape the way her family now looks at her. A house full of memories she keeps pretending are still alive by reposting them every other week. A brand based on twin power, with no twins left to power anything. So what now? Can Darcey recover? Can a reality star find footing when the show underneath her has emotionally been cancelled? Can she reconnect, rebuild, reset? Or is this the test that shows us the ugly truth of fame? You can't raise a spotlight and a child at the same time without one of them burning. The girls were always watching. And the day they stopped smiling for the camera might have been the moment they started protecting themselves. The question left is no longer, will they return? It's, does Darcey know they're already gone? Stick with us. Because what we're heading into next isn't a cliffhanger, it's the final scene, where custody rumors solidify, where contracts dry up, and where the girl boss storyline hits something it's never experienced before, being irrelevant. The endgame has already begun, and the twins aren't coming back for this final act. The silence didn't make headlines. It didn't explode with a scandal or end with a shocking finale. It just never came back, and that's the real ending. Not fire, not fallout, just absence. Carefully chosen, intentionally quiet, and permanent in ways Darcey may not fully understand yet. TLC hasn't issued a statement. Why would they? You don't announce that your core storyline is unraveling, you stretch it, fill it, distract it, but the audience feels it. Ratings slip, comments shift from curiosity to exhaustion, sponsors. They start to disappear with fewer words than the daughters ever used. They're gone, and nobody in corporate wants to admit it out loud. Maybe because they were never supposed to carry the show, but they did. With eye rolls, soft-spoken boundaries, silent loyalty, they made the chaos look kind. And when they left, it didn't leave a gap, it left a crater. Aniko and Aspen are still out there. College life, friends, privacy. A lightness in their photos that didn't exist when they were forced to smile beside someone who needed their youth to survive. No public digs, no messy fallout, just clean breaks. Like daughters who spent their entire adolescence planning an adulthood far away from the ring light. And the difference now? It's calm. There's no regret on their faces. Only relief. That's the part that stings if you're paying attention. Not the rejection, but the ease of it. The quiet. We've seen show exits before. Franchise meltdowns. Family drama turned spin-off promo. But this was something new. When people say it was inevitable, they're usually being dramatic. But it always was. Because you can't build a brand on being a mom and forget how to be one off camera. You can't sell motherhood like moisturizer. You can't ruin birthdays for content and expect every pain to come with a brand deal apology. At some point, your kids stop being props, and they become mirrors. And if what they're reflecting back is distance, pain, and caution, you've already lost them. You're just too busy editing to notice. Bold retention line. The moment your kids stop looking at you like home, is the moment your empire starts to collapse. And Darcey, no matter how many taglines, no matter how many new shows, she's now circling that moment. Spiraling, not spectacularly but slowly. Quietly, unwatched, there's nothing monstrous about it, nothing villainous. That's what makes it worse. She's not evil, she's just broken in the places where attention used to patch things up. And now that attention's drying up, the seams are showing. Darcey's still posting. Still pretty, still hustling, but it reads differently now. Less like someone chasing dreams, more like someone clinging to ghosts. If you look at her captions, really read them, you'll notice the language has shifted. There's a sadness to the sparkle now. A sense that she knows the girls are gone but doesn't know how to move without them in frame. And even worse, TLC does. Quiet reworks are happening behind the scenes. Focus flirting with side characters. Old footage being recycled but repackaged. An empire repurposed. Not rebuilt, just diluted, one thumbnail at a time. And you can tell she still hasn't accepted it. The twins were the proof that her story had heart. Without them, the story plays hollow, too polished, too filtered, and painfully out of sync with where the audience has emotionally landed. You can feel it in the comments. They're different now. Less about where's the dress from, more about where are the girls, less excitement, more eulogies. Fans who once cheered for Darcey are now mourning what they hoped was still salvageable. And Darcey, she's stuck in replay mode, reposting older moments, throwbacks, montage clips with captions about forever bonded. But the dates don't lie, the girls aren't coming back. And she can't cry for an audience that already watched the goodbye happen months ago. So now, we're in the endgame. Not because the show's cancelled. It might limp along another season. But the integrity, that's done. Because when your own kids walk off set without saying a word, it means your story stopped being real. And once the reality dies in reality TV, all that's left is reruns. The question now isn't whether Darcey can win them back. It's deeper, it's harder, it's whether she knows how to exist outside the camera at all. Can she stop treating validation like oxygen? Can she look in the mirror and see something more than views and volume? Can she sit with the hard truth that sometimes, being unforgettable on screen, makes you unbearable off of it? We don't know the answer. But if there's a chance to rebuild, to reconnect, it won't start with a selfie. It'll start in silence. In apology. In furniture moved closer, not farther. In no phone at the dinner table. In an invitation, not to shoot a scene, but to listen. To uncurated grief. To small real truths that sting when you actually earn them. That's how it starts, or doesn't. Because the strongest part of this story was never the fashion, it was never the filters. It was two girls, quiet in the background, trying to grow up in a life that never felt like it belonged to them. And now they own their future, not as characters, but as people. The show may keep trying to cast them, but the truth is, they've already left, and they didn't slam the door, they just stopped waiting for consent to walk out. So ask yourself one final thing. In this story, was the silence abandonment? Or was it the bravest goodbye they could give? Stick around, because next, another 90-day family is facing a different kind of split. No cameras involved. Just receipts and a secret wedding no one predicted. You're not ready for this one. And now, here we are. Two daughters, finally free. A dad who stayed off the screen, and somehow walked away with everything that mattered. And a mother. Still filming in an empty house, chasing moments that were already slipping through her fingers while the lens was still rolling. This isn't a dramatic ending. It's quieter than that, more haunting, because this time there were no tears, no explosive edits, just a final choice made off camera, in silence, with suitcases instead of scripts. And maybe that's the biggest plot twist of all, she was so focused on telling her story, she didn't see it ending.